Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful week. Today, I want to share my book promo of our week two Tomie uh, Depaola book, which I chose the story Now One Foot, Now the Other, which was both written and illustrated by Tomie back in 1981. Okay, so after doing a little bit of my own research into some of his work, um, this one stood out to me. Uh, I chose this book because it's definitely impactful and it seems to be pulled from actual things from DePaola's real life. So here's the plot. A little boy named Bobby is named after his grandfather, Bob. The two are best friends. When Bobby has a baby, it was his grandpa who taught him to walk, standing him on his feet and saying, "Now one foot, now the other." They built block towers together, and Bob always tells Bobby the story of how he taught him to walk. Then, when Bobby's around 5, his grandfather, unfortunately, has a stroke. Bob comes home from the hospital, but he's unable to walk or talk. And at first, he doesn't even recognize Bobby. It's a scary, sad change, and DePaola doesn't hide that from the kids in the story. But Bobby doesn't give up on his grandpa. He sits with him, he tells him the old stories, and little by little, he helps Bob come back. In the big moment, the roles flip, where now Bobby, the young Bobby, helps his grandfather stand, learn to walk, and speak, saying the exact same words that his grandfather once said to him. Now one foot, now the other. DePaola's illustrations also carry like some weight as well. They're fairly calm and simple illustrations with soft coloring and white space as well. He doesn't really overcrowd the page, but I feel like it gives enough where kids can still sit and see, and it's minimalist where kids can just understand more simple illustrations like that and still have the same emotion, still have the same feeling without being too overwhelmed with too many things going on all at once in the story. Okay, so moving on to a few after reading activities. So the first one I thought that we could possibly do is just a simple turn and talk. So who is someone older in your life who taught you something? That's a question that could be asked, and then have the kids pair up with a friend or with a small group, and then they could share it together and then draw that person and maybe a little bit about what they learned. And then second, another activity, giving kids pictures or cards of the main events. For example, Bob teaches Bobby to walk. The block tower, where they're playing together, the stroke event, or when Bobby is helping Bob to walk again. And then have them rearrange the story according as it was told. Third, possibly some sort of feelings map or some sort of relational response. So we could walk through the story and then have the students name how they think Bobby felt at different parts of the story. And this opens up a conversation about worry, patience, and love. And for an older group of people, if you wanted to do older, this was supposed to be oriented towards grade ones. But if it was going to be an older group of people, you could probably have some sort of a short writing piece of like a "this reminds me of," or a time that I helped someone, or a time that someone helped me. For myself personally, I think of my own grandfather who also had a brain surgery, which unfortunately there was complications with that. And he actually, whenever he first came out of that surgery, I was a kid too when this happened, and he was usually like a larger man, but he had lost so much weight from trying to recover from the surgery, and he did not recognize us when he first got out of the hospital either. So that was definitely a road to recovery, and an experience that I learned a lot from as well. Okay, connections to the NYS learning standards. I think this book's a good fit for someone in the earlier grades. The sequencing or the retelling of the story and lining things up lines up with the standard 1R3, describing character settings and major events in a story. And then the turning talk discussion supports speaking and listening standards around participating in conversations and asking questions about the key details. Because so much of the meaning lives in Depaola's pictures, it's a natural fit for the standard about using illustrations and details to describe a story. Beyond ELA, this book connects to health and social emotional learning as well. Themes of empathy, family, understanding, illnesses, and aging, which is also age appropriate. Why do I think Depaola connects with young learners? I think it's because he trusts his own storytelling ability. He trusts his minimalistic sort of approach, his quiet sort of stories, with still a very strong emotional theme, at least in this story for sure. He writes about family, kindness, and everyday life, and he respects that kids can handle real feelings. You see the same warmth in his folktale retellings. In Stregonona, Big Anthony's pride causes a man to nearly drown in pasta. A clear, gentle lesson about listening and following directions. In The Legend of the Bluebonnet, a girl sacrifices her most prized possession to end a drought, which opens conversations about selflessness and community. In Finn McCool, cleverness beats brute strength. And in The Clown of God, a poor juggler gives the only gift that he has, his talent, with love. Anyway, so across all of these different books, there are simple moral lessons, and each story carries a different theme that can resonate with different things within the NYS curriculum. So I'm looking forward to seeing what some of you guys have came up with. So thanks for watching.